Hey guys, there's currently a video out on TikTok right now. It says you have the Mystique skin, you land at Sanctuary, and you kill the Foundation. You actually can use her built-in emote, and you actually become Foundation. When you land here, you're supposed to find a harpoon. I couldn't find one, so I got a fishing line. That didn't work either, so I decided to kill him in Storm. Now the results were unbelievable. I couldn't believe my eyes. But before we get to that, we got a whole another video ahead of you, so let me explain and show you what happens after. Now, before we go forward, don't forget to like, subscribe. You also can follow my Twitch channel. It's Joe Freezy. Link's right here on the screen. Thank you by becoming a follower. We appreciate all you do. Thanks so much. Now, in this video, we're obviously doing the myth busting for the Mystique Foundation skin. But what we're also doing is we're trying to figure out if we wear the Scientist skin at the Sanctuary, will anyone notice? Would you notice? I try it on. Now, the first time I put it on a back bling and didn't go so well. So then we went on a second time with no back bling. Now, of course, me being the bot I am, I forgot to take off the banana wrap off my weapons. So, yeah. So the first thing we did was we landed at the Scientist. I wanted to look at him. I kind of want to see what he had to drop. I also want to kind of study his movement a little bit. Now I know he walks a little bit different than obviously me. So by hitting shift, I can creep walk a little bit, but it's not to the slow as he can. So I kind of want to just look at his movements, see if he stood still at all. So one of the issues I had was I had to get close to the combat. A lot of fights come into Sanctuary, but they didn't notice me, which means I had to get real close and draw them in. Now, another thing I had to do was I had to be careful when I was looting and running around, because if they see me looting or running around, they're not going to believe that I'm a real scientist. So I had to be careful of my movements. Now, remember when I told you earlier in the video that I had that banana skin on my weapons? So I clearly knew that if I had holding a shotgun or an AR with the banana skin, it wasn't going to be realistic. So I actually had to whip out my pickaxe so my arms stayed by my side, so it looked a little bit more realistic. Now, as you guys know, that the Foundation should be here in 2 days, if not sooner, with tomorrow's update of 19.20. So the Foundation is a skin we'll be unlocking, as well as a secret skin, as well as possibly some Star Wars additions and Covert Canyon. Now, what we know already is the Stinger's overpowered. You can spray through builds. The POI there is going to have a mythic Stinger. That's right, a mythic Stinger. Maybe they'll increase in nerf, but the Stinger is going to be mythic. God help us all. Now, it was at this point that I could hear someone splashing nearby. I could hear footsteps. I wanted to stay still as I possibly could, but I also had to draw them in somehow. I had to make them come into my screen so they're a good view to see, were they looking at me? Could they actually see me, and would they walk past me if they got a glimpse of me? Now I could hear him reloading his shotgun above me, which means he was definitely close. He's definitely suspicious. I made a few movements just to see if he could see me, but nothing worked yet. Now I started to hear gunshots in the distance. I knew this would draw his attention away from me, so I had to figure a way to draw them in more. So I started off slowly by chopping the ceiling, and I did hear more footsteps above me, but they still couldn't find me. So then I decided to go a little bit bigger. Now, surprisingly enough, that didn't work either. They came close, but they couldn't find me. So I had to make another change. This definitely showed result. But if they got close enough, they may realize that I'm not the real NPC. Now, I just had to lure him in close enough to get a shot. But now there was a new problem. Storm was coming. So now I heard them shooting each other outside. I was going to get involved one way or another. It was at this point that I knew that I had to get ahead of them to hold them in Storm. Now I could take a few shots, but if they got close enough, they may realize that I'm not the real NPC. Palms shaking, I stood there like a statue. I couldn't believe my eyes. Someone else had also heard the fighting in Storm and come to take a look. He looked right at me and didn't realize that I was not an NPC. Then the second player came out of Storm and built right next to me. He had no idea I was a real player. This clearly worked, and it proved my point that if I wear this skin and hang around Sanctuary, people won't shoot me. It's the equivalent of having an invisible cloak or a special power where people won't be able to see you even though you're playing in-game against them. Now that I knew it worked, I just had to have some fun. Now stay tuned, because right after this fight, I will show you what happens with the Mystique skin. Now, as far as the Mystique skin and unlocking the foundation early, you may have some controversy, so I need to know your opinion. Now, obviously I killed Foundation, but it was while we were currently in Storm. Do you think the Mystique didn't work properly because we took Storm damage? Do you think that Mystique wouldn't have changed either way? Or do you think I didn't get credit for the kill because the very last tick was by Storm itself? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Thanks again, guys.